This House Committee on Ways and Means meeting is hereby called to order. May we call on the Honorable future Governor Angelina Helen Tan to lead the prayer for this meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Almighty God, Creator and Lord of all things, you rule supreme over all the earth. The power and authority comes from you alone. Help us and guide us today as we attend to our duties as lawmakers and public servants. Give us wisdom to discern what is good, just and upright, because upon our shoulders rests the burden of a great responsibility that places us at the center of a nation that is now reeling in pain and misery amid the COVID-19 pandemic. Cause us to be calm in our exchange of ideas and to be dispassionate but inspired by the honest quest after the truth without which we will never be. Grant us a sense of duty as we craft laws that effectively respond to the needs of our suffering people. We ask your fortitude so that we may never falter in our responsibilities to our nation, nor shirk from our adherence to the time-honored values of public service. Hear us, Almighty Father, and guide us with your light and spirit as you preserve us from all evils. For yours is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
Amen. So, kumusta yung mga drone mo?
Ang kulit ni Mr. Chair. Wala na, nag-file na ako ng case.
Ah, talaga?
Yes.
Where? RTC?
Hindi ko alam sa lawyer ko, basta nag-file po.
Of course, I'm concerned about people who come to this thing.
Thank you po.
May anti-drone system ka na ba?
Secret.
No, may I now recognize the very beautiful, ever, in polka dots green with a new background. No other than the Senior Vice Chair, Estrellita Suansing.
Good morning, Mr. Chair. I move that we dispense with the calling of the roll. I so move, Mr. Chair.
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Are there any objections? The calling of the roll is hereby dispensed with. Senior Vice Chair.
Mr. Chair, I move that we dispense with the reading of the minutes of the meeting last March 22. At this point, I would like to congratulate the Secretariat for working hard, even though it's on break, and that the same be approved, Mr. Chair.
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Who seconded?
I did.
Oh, thank you very much, Marco. Straight from Baguio. So
Yeah.
wala tayong Ina?
Yes, sir.
My God. So, congratulations too from the chair. So the minutes of March 22, 2021 is hereby approved, which is the last time we had our meeting. So as you all well know, the committee has the task of safeguarding the government's fiscal position. At the same time, the committee wishes to extend parliamentary courtesy to the committees who have worked very hard on the bills that have been referred to us, with provisions automatically referred to this committee. Given the enactment of CREATE, it is now the main basis in amending measures that create free ports and provide incentives by any government agencies. But before that, may I now go to the most important bill for today, which is really a referral from the Committee on Health, headed by the very beautiful and very industrious and no further comments, no other than Chairperson Helen Tan. Comsec, please read the title of the referral from the Committee on Health.
A numbered substitute bill to House Bill number 6995 entitled An Act Providing for the Stockpiling of Strategic and Critical Drugs and Medicines vaccines, devices, and materials for public health emergencies, creating for the purpose the Health Procurement and Stockpiling Bureau under the Department of Health and appropriating funds, therefore authored by Rep. Stan et al. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Other ones, Rosano Biazon, D.V. Savediano, Julia T. Oy et al. Madam Tan, do you
Thank
have
you.
sponsorship remarks?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to sponsor the substitute bill on Health Procurement and Stockpiling Act before the Committee on Ways and Means. This bill has been very timely, not only since a year ago when I initially filed it, but continues to be pressing until this very moment. We are undergoing through a huge surge from the first COVID-19 cases we had from last year, but this time with more variants and faster transmission rate. We are already at the brink of a collapse of our health system capacity with more COVID-19 patients coming in, more infected workers, and lack of hospital beds. Aside from that, supply of vaccines from the start were scarce, and supply of medicines such as remdesivir and others are also declining due to high demand. To add more to our challenges, we have also been receiving reports of hoarding COVID-19 vaccines and raw materials for its production, especially when the US invoked its National Defense Production Act, which would definitely shake the steady supply of vaccines around the globe. For the past months, the Committee on Health has been working nonstop, deliberating on a series of health reform legislations, which are products of our realization from the COVID-19 pandemic experience, such as the National Health Security Bill, CDC Bill, Medical Reserve Corps Bill, Stockpiling Bill, with the aim of contributing to our national efforts in ending this pandemic and be better prepared for future pandemics. This stockpiling bill took off and the country experienced shortage of essential medical supplies and necessary materials to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, such as masks, alcohol, PPEs, mechanical ventilators, and RT-PCR kits and machines. At that time, they relied heavily on donations, and the entire country panicked as there was global shortage of these items. To avoid a similar situation, I have filed this bill with the main thrust of protecting the public health and safety by preventing and controlling the spread of diseases and other health hazards through stockpiling of essential and critical drugs and medicines, vaccines, devices, and materials to effectively and swiftly confront the devastating consequences of public health emergencies. I know you have a long list of bills to tackle for today, but allow me, Mr. Chair, to underscore the important provisions of this bill. As defined in the bill, stockpiling refers to the inventory of health commodities and materials, or those physical reserve of definite quantities of commodities or materials that are stored in government warehouses or on government-owned properties that are intended for all essential health uses in times of emergencies. And to operationalize such policy, this bill seeks to create a Health Procurement and Stockpiling Bureau, a body under the Department of Health. It shall serve as the principal agency mandated to undertake a transparent, fair, proactive, and innovative procurement service of the DOH and to stockpile, conserve, and facilitate the release of adequate amounts of potentially life-saving pharmaceuticals, vaccines, devices, and materials in times of public health emergencies. It shall undertake important functions such as identifying strategic and critical drugs and medicines, vaccines, devices, and materials that have distinct capability of being stockpiled, serving as a national supplement to these items to state supplies, acting as stopgap buffer when the immediate supply of adequate amounts may not be immediately available, and facilitating the provision of potentially life-saving pharmaceuticals in times of public health emergencies, among others. And in order to maintain and ensure an unhampered and steady supply of critical drugs, vaccines, and devices, there shall also be a medical stockpiling fund to support the National Drug and Device Security Program, which will be managed by the Department of Health. The DOH may also solicit and receive donations which shall form part of the fund, and such donations should be exempt from income and donors tax and all other fees and charges imposed by the government. Likewise, fundraising activities may be conducted by the DOH and the fees and proceeds shall accrue to the fund and shall be exempt from any and all taxes. It is important to exempt these donations from taxes, fees, and charges in order to incentivize our donors and encourage more donations. And in order to maintain transparency and accountability, receipts from donations, whether in cash or in kind, shall be accounted for by the Department of Health in accordance with the accounting and auditing rules. Receipts from cash donations and proceeds from the sale of donated commodities shall be deposited with the National Treasury and recorded as a special account in the General Fund and shall be available to the DOH through special budget. The cash value of the donation shall be deemed automatically appropriated for the purpose specified by the donor. Donations with a term not exceeding 1 year shall be treated as trust receipts. The importance of passing this measure cannot be overemphasized. We are already experiencing shortage of medicines and vaccines as of speaking, and this legislation will definitely be a remedy for our struggling supply chain. We therefore submit before this honorable committee the consideration of this substitute bill on health procurement and stockpiling act, and humbly seeks everyone's support for the approval of this urgent and timely piece of legislation. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat. Certainly, the committee did approve, but I'd like to hear from the resource person. Bal from DOF.
Morning, Mr. Chair.
Are you from San Pablo?
My father is, sir. I grew up in Zamboanga.
Your father is the former justice?
No, sir. Just a cousin of the former justice.
Are you from Fuli Sahagun?
No, sir.
Okay. I stayed there during my first job, right in the Brion compound, when I was assistant branch manager of Jardine. Are you from San Pablo?
Yes, sir. I am from San Pablo, but I grew up in Zamboanga City, my mom's hometown, sir.
Layo naman. Anyway, what's your comment?
Sir, on this bill, we have a comment on the establishment of the medical stockpiling fund. So the first comment is that instead of the DOH managing the fund, we propose that it should be the Bureau of the Treasury that should manage the fund. And this is consistent with the existing policy and treatment of grants and donations under the special account in the general fund. For prudent fiscal practice, the bill should also specify the period of use of the funds. And the SAG for medical stockpiling must be lodged in the Treasury Single Account or TSA of the National Treasury to be aligned with the cash management practice of the national government. Furthermore, this shall be subject to the review and guidelines issued by the Permanent Committee created under Section 45, Chapter 5, Book 6 of the Admin Code. On the disbursement and utilization, the DOH shall carry this out following existing government budgeting, accounting, and auditing rules and regulations. We also propose, Mr. Chair, the deletion of the last sentence on paragraph 3 of section 9, which reads, donations with a term not exceeding 1 year shall be treated as trust receipts. The proposed deletion, Mr. Chair, is to really make it consistent with our proposal that this be treated as a special account in the general fund instead of a trust receipt. Second comment, Mr. Chair, is on the proposed tax exemptions. We note that the tax code already exempts donations, gifts, made to or for the use of the national government. Our comment pertains to the exemption from donations and fundraising activities from local taxes.
Which law is this?
Sir, Section 135 of the Local Government Code, as amended, imposes a tax on transfer of real property ownership. So we believe, sir, that
Para malayo. You're reading on the other bills. We're dealing with 30 bills.
sir, this is still on the medical stockpiling fund.
So bakit may local? We are not touching the... Ena?
Sir, yes, sir. Our mandate is on national taxes only.
I'll end my comment there, sir, on the medical stockpiling fund.
Oh, number one, BIR? No BIR? The DOF speaks for BIR?
This is Gretchen Mondragon from the BIR. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, Gretchen Ho.
Yes. No, not really. But we defer to the comments of the DOF. We have the same comments.
Okay. With respect to the first set of comments, those should be addressed to the Committee on Appropriations with respect to fund management. With respect to the taxation, that is, I think, the domain of this committee. So I think those concerns should be properly addressed. Based on the tradition of the House, the right of first interpretation is given to the minority. May I know if any of the minorities here, the GOOC is here? Kimbo?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. No comment, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Do you support the bill?
I am supporting the bill, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you very much. So the minority supports the bill. Do you have questions from the other members of the committee? The majority?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
just some clarificatory questions, if I may be allowed.
Mabuti pa hindi ako nagtanong. O sige na.
Thank you, Vice President Joey.
President yan, President.
President ba? So, understatement yung Vice President pala.
You're putting target behind my back.
Sabihin mo na kasi mga ngampanya na kami.
Ay, nako. Sige na nga, Mark. Dali.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask, when you say stockpiling, do you have a minimum inventory that you would like to stockpile? Because there is a cost in, in maintaining certain level of inventory, both the carrying cost and the other cost. For example, where will you stockpile these materials that you will buy? You will have a problem of obsolescence as a result of stockpiling some materials, including medicine and other items. Ano ba yung natin dito? Do we have an optimum level of inventory that we should maintain for a particular, especially mga medicine, mga equipment, other tools that we need to answer or to address yung mga cases such as what we have right now, the COVID-19 pandemic?
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Okay. We didn't specify kung how many or how much yung inventory level that they should maintain, but it's in the functions of the Bureau to plan and formulate kung ilan po yung nararapat for specific critical or basic medicines or vaccines and devices. So magiging isa po yan sa tungkulin ng Bureau na dapat pag-aralan.
Okay,
Yeah.
Mark?
Kasi meron ng cases na merong merong expiry dates. Even yung mga antigen test that we use, merong yan. And there were cases where itong mga ito nag-expire. So meron ba tayong, so I don't know if that can be placed here or in the implementing rules or it can be defined by the Bureau.
Yes, sir. Yun po yung nakalagay natin na tungkulin again, no? So, i-reiterate ko po, doon sa functions and responsibilities, definitely nakikita dapat ng Bureau yung expiration dates, no? At hindi dadating doon sa pagkakataon na may expire ang isang naka-stockpile na commodity. Nasa pagpaplano, sir, ng Bureau.
Okay. So in other words, for example, ang isang produkto manufacture, let's say ang expiry niyan is 2 years. So dapat hindi binibili yan kung nasa gitna na ng 2 years.
Actually, sir, yes po. Sa procurement po, ang pagkaalam ko po talaga, ang minimum expiry date po natin ay 2 years. And the manufacturers naman po talaga ng medicines, ang pinakamatagal po ng manufacturing validity ng isang commodity is 2 to 3 years lang. So talagang bago po ang dinideliver. Kasama po yun sa tinitingnan, sa pagbili.
Okay. Ngayon ba meron tayong instances na mga gamot na binili ng DOH na nag-expire o hindi pa nag-expire? Kasi meron tayong mga cases in the past, I don't know how they address this kind of problem.
Actually, sir,
matagal, sinagot ka na.
Sir, matagal na pong issue sa DOH yan, no? Yung mga na-expire na commodities sa kanilang warehouses, no? At napag-usapan din natin yan sa Kongreso. Kung kaya yung current po na procurement bureau natin, sa supply chain natin, isa po yun sa kasi natin so that mapiprevent po natin yung pag-expire ng mga commodities. I think may pagkakataon, sir, na may mga na-expire talaga.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. If we can be assured that maganda ang management ng bureau ito so that we will not have the experience of expiration of some materials that we buy, I think this is a good bill that will really help in addressing cases that happen in our country, particularly itong ganitong case na nangyayari ngayon sa ating bansa. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Chair also.
Pag DOH Secretary na si Angelina Tan, I think that is the assurance. So are there any other questions? Before that, may I ask the COMSEC to please recognize all members present?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Madaya ka, wala dito sa script.
Sir. Yes, today we have Chair Angelina Tan of the Committee on Health, Representative Joy Myra Tampunting, Representative Sonny Mangawang, Senior Vice Chair Estrellita Suansing, Representative Coco Nograles, Representative Josephine Ramirez Sato, Representative Bingo Matugas, Representative Chair Ted Haresco of the Committee on Economic Affairs, Representative Rufus Rodriguez, Representative Jose Gay Padiernos, Representative Mark Go, Representative John Marvin Yul Sergio Nieto, Representative Michael Goriseta, Representative Mickey Violago, Representative Julian Baronda, Representative Sergio Dagook, and Representative Cheryl Deloso Montalia. Sir, for the should I continue with the resource person, sir?
How many do we have?
Right now we have 18, sir. 18 members. For the resource person, sir, should I continue?
Yes, please.
Yes, sir. From the Department of Finance, we have Attorney Valerie Joy Brion And from the NTRC, we have Deputy Executive Director Debbie Asisio C. And also Ms. Roselyn Domo. From BIR, we have Attorney Gretchen Mondragon. We also have Julie Bato from DOF, Joyce Alegre of DTI, Attorney Ian Banikid of BOI, Attorney Clarence Dizon of BOC, Attorney Romeo Villarta of PESA, and Attorney Mark De La Cruz of PITC, Mr. Chair. Thank you, sir.
I,
Mr. Chair, I have one last question to Chairman Angelina Tan. What is now the turnaround? Probably DOH can answer this also. What is the turnaround period if you purchase an item sa mga suppliers natin? Ano yung turnaround period from the time you make the order up to the time of delivery? Ano yung turnaround period?
Sir, baka we have a guest from DOH if they can answer the question of Kong Mark, Chair Mark.
gising na.
Our apologies po, we did not invite the DOH.
Okay. Chair Mark, we'll just ask DOH and we'll get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
So, thank you. With that, is there any motion?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like to move for the approval of House Bill or the... May I not?
I'm sorry.
Mr. Chair, may amendments po.
Okay, Senior Vice Chair Suansing, but this is a standard amendment. Can you put on the screen? It merely just ensures. Would you like to read that?
Yes, Mr. Chair, with the kind indulgence of the Chairman of the Committee on Health, my best friend, Helen Tan, in Section 9, Establishment of Medical Stockpiling Fund and Tax Exemptions. On paragraph 2, the DOH may solicit and receive, will delete donations and instead use grants, bequests, endowments, donations, and contributions, which shall from part of the fund, and then delete, and such donation shall be exempt from income and or donors tax and all other taxes, fees, and changes imposed by the government, and change to said grants, bequests, endowments, donations, and contributions used actually directly and exclusively for the purpose of the fund shall be exempt from donors tax, and the same shall be considered as allowable deductions from gross income for purposes of computing the taxable income of the donor in accordance with the provisions on Section 14 H2A of the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 as amended. And that's all, Mr. Chair.
Likewise, fundraising activities may be conducted by DOH, the proceeds of which shall accrue to the fund and shall be exempt from any and all taxes. So, Senior Vice Chair Suansing, can you repeat Mark goes?
I will. I can repeat my motion, Mr. Chair. I move that we approve the unnumbered House Bill in substitution of House Bill 6995 as amended, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Is there any objection? Hearing none, same is approved. We would like to congratulate the Committee on Health for the hard work they've done for more than 1 year.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Maraming salamat po sa suporta sa lahat po na ating mga miyembro.
Maraming salamat, but you are discharged.
Mr. Chair, before we discharge Chairman Helen Tan, may I move that all members present be co-authors of this bill? So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Seconded. So the Secretariat is directed to invite other members in the Viber to co-author the measure, if that is acceptable to the Committee on Health.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
The Committee on Health is hereby discharged. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you po.
Sige, punta ka na ng Makalelon.
Ikaw talaga. Salamat po.
Under mo naman eh. Talaga. So we have referrals from two various committees, but before we discuss them, may I ask for just 2 minutes of something else? Madali lang.
Health, sino nandyan na?
Thank you. I'm back. So, ComSec, please read the title of the measures referred by the Committee on Economic Affairs, or please show that on screen. This is for San Jose, Occidental Mindoro, and Magsaysay, authored by Representative Ramirez Sato, a good friend. Next. Paluan, Occidental Mindoro, also by Representative Sato, Nene. Next. Sangli Point, a Special Economic Zone, by Representative Abaya and Haresco, the Chairman of the Committee on Economic Affairs. Next. Fourth District, Province of Cebu, authored by Representative Sarimbangan. Next. City of Bacolod by Representative Gasataya and Haresco, who is also on Ilonggo. Next. Ubay, Benavista, Talibon, Getafe of Bohol by Representative Aumentado and Haresco. Next. Special Economic Zone in the city of Iloilo by Representative Jam Baronda and Haresco. Next. Wala na? So
That's
there
it,
are
Mr. Chair.
7. Are we finished?
Yes, sir.
May we request Chairman Aresco of the Committee on Economic Affairs to deliver sponsorship remarks for all these 7?
Yes, Chairman, good morning to our Genius in Residence, Chairman Joey Salceda. And good morning to our colleagues. Mr. Chair, fellow members of the Committee on Ways and Means, good morning. On behalf of the House Committee on Economic Affairs, I would like to thank the Committee on Ways and Means, led by Chair Salceda, for their swift action on the referred bills creating the various economic zones in the different provinces of our country. Mr. Chair, upon the strict scrutiny of economic affairs, the Ecozone House bills referred today were seen to establish economic zones on strategic locations, thus having a great potential of promoting economic development in their respective provinces and nearby provinces as well. It is my sincere belief, Mr. Chair, that these proposed measures are timely as our country recovers from COVID-19 pandemic. The authors of the different economic zone bills to further explain and elaborate on their individual bills. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. For purposes of before I call on the others, let the chair be given take this privilege. The action taken by the Committee on Ways and Means after so much study for almost a month is to extend courtesy to the effort of the Committee on Economic Affairs. I am predisposed towards an omnibus approval of the referred measures, and all other sponsorship may be submitted and recognized and put on record. The bills referred to the committee share the following similar provisions: created by Ecozone, grant of tax incentives, rules governing Ecozone, specific provision on tax incentives for enterprises inside the zone. Given that these provisions are almost identical in the referred bills, the committee can approve the measures together. On creation of economic zone in pre-ports in general, the attitude of the DOF towards the creation of any new agency is always adverse.
Ay,
But the
yeah.
cost of establishing new offices and new economic zone would therefore incur from the DOF a recommendation for the use of presidential veto powers. The committee itself studying how to make pre-port zone less prone to abuse currently, less prone to the use of pre-port privileges. On the grant of tax incentives by Ecozone, the committee recommends appending the clause subject to Title 13. So all of these seven, all the asking authors is for us, there is a standard, and we will use for this the special economic zone of San Jose and Magsaysay, which will be shown later. And this Title 13 essentially create. The committee proposes that references to agencies regulating the ecozone use of tax and duty incentives include BIR. This is to align the bills with the inclusion of the tax incentives under create in the NIRC. The committee proposes the deletion of all section on fiscal incentives, all, and in lieu of just put registered enterprises of the ecozone may be entitled to permanent fiscal incentives granted under Title 13 of the national. I think we are trying to limit ourselves to only the tax provision, which is the domain of the Committee on Ways and Means. I know that the DOF will not be very happy, but in recognition of the desire of congressmen for the progress of their constituency, the committee is thus restraining its usual strictures by just an omnibus. So as stated, the committee shall have similar amendments on all measures. So may I now seek the indulgence to just show one for now, show Sato. So this is for San Jose and Magas. Next, the recognition next. So this is just what we're asking for. subject to Title 13. And then on G, really is to put the word BIR because the customs and the BIR is not there. Next. So the proposed provision of fiscal incentives are already deleted in view of thereof. Section 14 of these bills shall show registered enterprises of Occidental Mindoro Ecozone may be entitled to pertinent fiscal incentives granted under Title 13. Hindi na ho namin pakikilaman. Marami sana we had 10 revisions, but last night I came to an enlightenment and an understanding being in Bicol. I think seeing how our people directly being affected by what's happening and looking forward to what these initiatives that form part of the law of the land would do for the members or the constituents of these authors. So I would just like to ask, Sato, do you accept, or does the
Mr.
chairman
Chair.
of the committee on, yes,
Mr. Chair, this representation accepts all the recommendations. Thank you very much.
thank you very much. The
Mr. Chair,
arrest,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Mark.
with the create that was approved, the old PESA law says that all the companies within the PESA zone will only pay 5% on the based on the gross income, and they are all exempted from all the local taxes. With the creation of or with the approval of the create into law, does this supersede that provision which is contemplated under these bills?
That's why we're putting create in all of them, because under create is still 3-2.
Yes. So what happens now to those existing PESA companies?
The same.
What will happen to the local government? Like in the case of Baguio City, we have a special economic zone here, and the city of Baguio shares 2% from the 5%.
They will continue to, and there is continuity. Once they enter, let's say, into the SCIT or the EDC,
ITH.
the same proportion will be observed.
So this is the intent of proposed amendment to this provision.
Well, the provision here is making them compatible to create. Ito na po ginalaw yung kanilang mga iba kasi there is variation in substance with respect to, for example, the organization, the observance of all the other. So ang pag binasa niyo po ng create, I think we should explain create in the next meeting. Yung ano po, tatapusin lang po yung create under 10 years. After the GIE, if they go into an SCIT or the Special Corporate Income Tax or the ED, which is the Enhanced Deduction System, the same proportion will be observed. So the share of Baguio will be retained, but now no longer under a GIE. In fact, if the expiration of the GIE, it may result to a higher revenues for Baguio.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. The other question I have here for the proponents, the organizational setup now is
Sir,
going to be different with.
Just ask Mark.
Yeah.
It's not within the domain of the Committee on Ways and Means.
Okay. Well, just to let our good friend Congresswoman Sato, the situation right now is we don't have board of directors within the different PESA companies within the area. Like in the Baguio City
And
export processing zone, they have only a zone manager reporting to the administrator of PESA.
okay, Anna, can you show one example? That's why we avoided the governing board of the Occidental Mindoro.
Wait, sir.
Yung organization. Organization ng Ecozone ng Occidental.
So we will just pull it up, sir.
Just put it up. They have variation in themes. Some includes the governor, some includes the mayors. So here, the governor, the mayor.
Yes.
These all-
In all existing zone except probably the one in the northern part of the country, they don't have any governing board per PESA operation. Like in the case of Baguio, Cebu, Bataan, and all the others, they don't have a governing board. They only have PESA. So in this particular case, what we want to do here is we will have a governing board per zone as proposed by these various bills.
Yes.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, in deference to the wisdom of the representative of San Jose Mindoro, I think each of the zones that are being created are of pari passu status as PESA, because this is also created by law. And like PESA, there will just be an IPA. Except that I think what's not the thing that has to be cleared somewhere is really the 1 billion. So if the investment is below 1 billion, they don't have to go to the FIRB. So all these 7 will now have pari passu status as PESA. And therefore, anything below 1 billion, they can approve. But subject to some oversight by PESA. By FIRB. So they don't have to go through PESA. They have their own boards. So ako naman, as I've said, in deference to and probably letting 1,000 flowers bloom so that there will be more people who will promote the advantages and the incentive system of the Philippines. So we took upon ourselves a tolerant view with respect to without impinging, because I think it's properly the domain of the Committee on Economic Affairs to dictate or to suggest kung if it is unacceptable. So at the end of the day, it is the plenary where these things. So I hope I have answered you. So may I ask Sato for number 2, you also accept?
Yes, we accept that, Mr. Chairman.
For number 2, may I ask Abaya is around?
Sir, Rep. Baronda is here po. One of the authors. Representative Baronda.
Chair, Chair. Good morning, everyone po, and members of this committee.
Do you accept?
Yes, Mr. Chair, we are amenable to the suggested provision, Mr. Chair.
This is for Iloilo?
Yes, Iloilo City po. And
Okay, I was
I'd like to submit this representation submits to the wisdom and expertise of the chairman, Mr. Chair, and the member.
Actually, I've changed only one. I just said respect Title 13, all of you can go.
Yes. Okay.
So, this is for number 7. May I know from Ubay, Hetafe, Bohol, is Aumentado around?
Tatlo yata to.
Hindi ko kami babait na komitiba, ngayon lang. So you better answer yes. Otherwise, we would have the initial draft of the committee was really humongous.
Yeah.
So I simplified it.
Out of the.
Sir, there are no other authors, sir. But maybe Chair Haresco can, yes, sir.
Tadaresco, can you accept for Sangli?
Mr. Chairman.
You accept for all 7?
Yes, omnibus approval is.
I know. I know. If I ask DOF, BIR, and TRC, they would have the same.
They will not accept.
Ano pasalitain po natin.
Sir, DDG
Val?
Debbie C is here.
Can you have an omnibus?
Mr.
Val?
Chair, yes, we actually support the amendment of the chair on aligning the grant of fiscal incentives to Title 13 of CREATE. Our other comments pertain to the general policy of creation of economic zones and the exemption from FIRB oversight. But due to the manifestation of the chair that this hearing will be limited to the tax exemption provision, we find, Mr. Chair, that it is more consistent with our reform on modernizing the tax incentive system. We align all the fiscal incentives to the provisions of CREATE.
Ay, nadala ka ng omnibus ko, So the right of interpellation is given to the minorities. The minority here. The go.
Still present, Mr. Chair. This
Yes.
representation has no comment nor objection. I presume that the wisdom of the chair, who is expert on this case. So this representation has no opposition, Mr. Chair.
Would you like to say support?
Support.
For the record. Third.
I support the approval as with amendments from the chair, Mr. Chair.
I think we should support the bills. So do you have question from our other members? Any hands raised? But before that, may I ask the Committee on Ways and ENA to please recognize more members coming in?
Sir, we have additional members. We have Representative Franz Castro and Representative Jose Junong po. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
John Marvin Yul Servo is here. Jun Ong is here. The staff of Kung Abdullah de Maporo is here. Mickey Belago, of course, our Suki, the only girl who can make me sleep at night. So,
Pinakamatapang, Mr. Chair.
oo nga.
So, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what you are saying earlier is that this committee will just tackle the tax provisions of this particular bill. The
That's
other concerns or issues can be tackled in a different venue, probably during the plenary discussion of this bill. Is that what you're saying in effect, Mr. Chair?
They went through the proper committees already.
Yeah, I know. But if we are not a member of the other committee that tackled this bill, then we can bring some of the suggested provisions during the plenary.
I think so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your forbearance. So that's the question from other members. Are there any other members? So now, is there any motion?
Mr. Chair, can I make a motion?
Yes, thank you.
Considering that the tax provisions of the six other measures referred by the Committee on Economic Affairs
7.
are the same as those of the unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 263 or the Occidental Mindoro Special Economic Zone Act. So this makes it 27, Mr. Chair. I move for omnibus approval subject to amendments of all these 7 substitute bills creating economic zones, namely unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 264 or the Paluan Special Economic Zone Act, unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 655 or the Sangli Point Special Economic Zone Act, unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 3239 or the Cebu 4th District Special Economic Zone Act, unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 5440 or the Bacolod Special Economic Zone Act, unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 5538 or Northern Bohol Special Economic Zone Act, unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 5794 or the Metro Iloilo Special Economic Zone Act, and the earlier mentioned unnumbered substitute bill to House Bill number 263 or the Occidental Mindoro Special Economic Zone Act. So move, Mr. Chair.
Are there
Second.
any objections? Hearing none.
Second,
All
Mr. Chair.
is hereby approved. Congratulations to their authors and congratulations to their constituents.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and to the members of the committee.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I make another motion with the kind indulgence of the Chairman of the Economic Affairs, a good friend, Chairman Haresco, and the authors? I move that all members present be co-authors of the said bills, Mr. Chair.
Second the motion.
Mr. Chair.
Arasco?
Yes, I second.
I second, Mr. Chair.
You accept.
Yes,
I accept.
Chairman.
Thank you very much for accepting our willingness to support your initiatives. So we now come to the second part, which is really comes from at this point Chair Haresco and all the other authors from the Committee on Economic Affairs are hereby discharged, and we would like to thank you for your presence and for your collaboration with the Committee on Economic Affairs.
Thank you very much,
Oh,
Mr.
thank you.
Chairman. Permission to leave.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. Permission to leave too.
Don't have to leave.
Admission ng Diyos. Inang nene.
We are removed from the group. So, joke lang. So we are now have the referrals from the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization. COMSEC, can you show on the screen 9 proposals? Can you put it on how do you call that? Where all of them are there?
Paano itong
Naka-PDF na, sir.
Parang
Wala ba kayo noon sa screen?
Wala, sir. I will just read na lang po.
Ano ba?
Okay, sir. I'll read it faster.
Okay, read.
Wala
ba kayo noon?
Wala po. We could,
Yeah.
there. Okay, sir.
So the 9 bills. Lake Mainit Development Authority by Barbers, Chico River Basin Development Authority, Bangawang, Olivares, Laguna Lake Development Authority. Meron bang, ano sabi na bakit may ganito? Di ba meron ng Laguna Lake Development?
Sir, this is amendatory po.
Amendatory. Sustainable Vehicle River by Villafuerte Olivares, Kapatagan by Dimaporo, Siargao Islands Development Authority by Alvarez, Tambunting, Matugas, Abra River Basin Development Authority by Bernos Olivares, Cagayan de Oro River Basin Development Authority by Rodriguez Olivares, and Lake Lanao Development Authority by Representative Adjong Balindong Olivares et al. Thank you very much. First, may I just call on Congressman Bimbong Matugas for his sponsorship of all 9 bills.
Magandang umaga po, Mr. Chair, my dear colleagues, and all the resource persons present. And on behalf of our chairman, Congressman Eric Olivares, I would like to sponsor the bills from the Committee on Government Enterprises and Privatization that are now under consideration in your committee. With the exception of the bill on Chico River, which will be sponsored by our colleague, Congressman Sani Olawa. He will do the sponsorship of that bill, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for this opportunity.
So, who will sponsor Chico?
Representative Mangawang, Mr. Chair.
Good. Yeah, thank you so much, Mr. Chair, Honorable Chairman, Congressman Joey Salceda, and members of this committee.
May katabi ka ba? May katabi ka?
Hello.
Okay.
Can you hear me, Mr. Chair?
Yes, now.
May I humbly move that the explanatory note would be not accepted as my sponsorship speech. And since in behalf of the Abra River Development Authority, I was tasked by the Honorable Bernos to represent himself, and I would like to manifest that all the recommended amendments would be accepted, Mr. Chair, in behalf of the Abra River Development Authority. Thank you so much for approving the Kalinga River Basin Development Authority. Thank you so much to this honorable committee, Honorable Salceda, and Honorable Bing Matugas.
Since
That's all, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Congressman Mangawang. Sani?
Hello?
Yes, Sani? I hear you. Since I see Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, certainly the committee will be remiss if we don't listen to his sponsorship of his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and pleasant good morning to everyone. Mr. Chairman, this Cagayan de Oro River Basin Authority is really a felt need of our city. The problem, Mr. Chairman, is that the Cagayan de Oro River has many tributaries, not only in Cagayan de Oro, but in Bukidnon, about 4 towns there. And so there has to be an authority that should be able to make plans and protect the receiving area, which is my city, which in 2016 had that devastating typhoon Sendong, which killed 1,100 of our people along the banks of the Cagayan de Oro River. So, Mr. Chairman, I would therefore request that my explanatory note be part of my sponsorship speech this morning. I just have some amendments, Mr. Chairman, just to have some phrases, not, if you allow me, not on the provisions on exemption from taxes, but because this committee if we can have just an insertion of about 5 words, Mr. Chairman, which will not change the bill itself.
We cannot do that, sir.
That's okay, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
It can be by way of committee amendment.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Sponsoring committee.
Yes.
Thank you. So this is to outline the action proposed by the Committee on Ways and Means on the tax provision of the various bills proposing to create development authorities. The committee deeply recognizes the desire of the respective congressmen to secure for their areas the benefits of planned development and strong cooperation between the government and the private sector. The committee does not wish to stand in the way of such good intentions. Nonetheless, as chair, I would like to make the following observations to have the sponsor defend or refine their proposals once they reach the floor. The provisions referred to the committee, the nature are 1, power to impose charges and fees, 2, tax exemptions, 3, grant of government guarantees, 4, grant of tax incentives to enterprises in the authority's jurisdiction. The attitude of the national government is well known, which is adverse. But over and above that, I think this committee is predisposed, as I've said in my first point, not to stand in the way of the desire of the people of the constituents. And on the powers and functions of the authorities, the provision relevant to the committee are the powers allowing the authorities to impose fees and charges. The committee proposes to adopt the provisions of the proposed bills without amendment. We never do this, but just to get this thing moving. On tax exemption for authorities, I reiterate that the general policy of the current administration is not to extend any new tax exemption on government subsidies and to subject them to tax expenditure subsidy system. On the use of guarantees, I am predisposed to extending parliamentary courtesy to originating committee. I would like to extend a friendly note of caution, though, to the sponsor that the DOF is disposed against blank check provisions on the use of government guarantees. And generally, there are enough laws which makes the DOF the clearinghouse for government exposure to loans. And number 8, the power to grant tax incentives, again, to harmonize it with create under Section 13 of the NIRC. I would like to make the general suggestion that instead of granting the Development Authority the power to grant incentives of varying or garden variety variations, the following general provision be adopted to align with create, and we direct the committee secretariat to modify the language as may be applicable to the respective bills. The authority may recommend to the Board of Investments and the Fiscal Incentive Regulatory Board the grant of incentives to registered business enterprises subject to Title 13 of tax incentives of the National Internal Revenue Code. Since create is our main legal basis, so may I just ask the ComSec to please show the first 3, which is more on create. This is Kapatagan, Siargao, and the Abra. So can you show the amendments being proposed by the committee? As you see, it's number 27. Any comment? So anybody's making a comment? So anyway, under Title 13, as you can see in Section 27. Next. We're adopting almost everything from the committees. Next. For Siargao, we are adopting everything. Next. Except again, on letter D, Title 13 of the NIRC. Next. Hindi ko namin pinapakialam yung management na gusto nyo, but except for the newly created next. For ABRA, again, on section 27, there's Title 13 of the ABRA Basin System under Title 13 of the NIRC. The rest is being adopted. Next. 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 Wala na ba, Ena?
Wala na, sir.
Wala na, Mr. Chair.
Okay, can we go to the main body? So, does Representative Matugas and the other authors accept the amendments?
Mr. Chair, on behalf of my bill, Siargao Island Development Authority, I accept the amendments of the committee, Mr. Chair.
Joy, are you representing Siargao? Joy. I think Bingo, it's up to you. You accept it for Siargao?
Yes, I accept, Mr. Chair, the amendments.
Thank you. And Joseph Bernos, around?
Mr. Chair, in behalf of Albay Development Authority, we accept the amendments, Mr. Chair.
Ito lang ginawa namin, to subject everything that you can give under create. Walang iba. Hindi kami nakialam sa governmental religions or governing bodies, or because it's not properly the domain of this committee. So with that, can we, Aina, approve these three first?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair, can I make a motion?
Yes.
I move that I move for the omnibus approval of measures creating the Kapatagan Valley Development Authority, a numbered substitute bill to bill number 2155.
For the three.
Siargao Island Development Authority, a numbered substitute bill to House Bill number 2438 and 2966, and Abra River Basin Development Authority with amendments as discussed. I so move, Mr. Chair.
And what about the other one?
Yes, I move for the omnibus approval of other measures creating development authorities without amendments. Following your discussions, Mr. Chair, these bills do not have provisions that are directly affected by create. The committee does not wish to stand in the way of planned local development. Allow me to read the short titles.
Okay. So we have another set of 6. Vice Chair Suansing, can you read the 6? Wala na. Nakatabingi na yung mukha mo. Hindi ka na makatingin sa kanan.
Sir, her internet may have dropped. Anyway, they are shared po on the screen.
Wala na talaga siya. So this is Lake Mainit Development Authority. Sino ba author?
Representative Barber, sir. Olivares, FL.
Chico? All right. Chico by Mangawang, Piazon, Villaperte, Kapatagan, Siargao, Abra, Cagayan de Oro River. Di ba na-approve na natin to? So may I, the motion of, may I ask any member to make a motion to approve all 9? Is this 9? Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I therefore move that we approve the 9 bills, which is now on board. And so move, Mr. Chairman.
Upon motion, is there a second?
Second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Bingo. Upon motion, duly seconded, the committee hereby approves with amendments essentially relating to it and with the precaution with respect to the government guarantees, especially for Sidra or the Bicol River Basin, which referred to the automatic government guarantees for all the indebtedness. I think may need to be subjected to laws with respect to, well, in furtherance of fiscal prudence, that not everybody, that not a single government entity except for the national government has sovereign guarantees without DOF restraints or controls or prescriptions. So upon motion, duly seconded, the committee hereby approves the amendments, the revenue provision of the 6 unnumbered substitute bills as specified by the senior vice chair who disappeared but now is doing her hair. But I'll give you the right to second the motion.
Second the motion.
Are there any objections? Hearing none. So all these 9 bills is hereby approved. So now we come to, at this point, I would like to thank the Committee on Government Enterprises for the cooperation and the collaboration and helping the Committee on Ways and Means do its job. We are not here to merely impose taxes or control the ability of government institutions to pursue growth by using a special instrument through tax incentives. We are one with you in serving your constituency, especially optimizing the development potential of your areas. At this point, may we now go to the last point, which is really, before going to the last item for the agenda, may I, the members or my colleagues, as well as the chair of the Committee on Reorganization, as well as all the other sponsors of the 9 bills from the Committee on Reorganization are hereby discharged.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Chairman, thank you.
Thank you. Indeed. At this point, I would like to thank the Vice Chair for leading the drafting of the committee report and for the hard work. At this point, may I yield the chairmanship to the Senior Vice Chair, who can continue with the meeting with respect to the last item in our agenda. We are hereby, I yield the chairmanship to Senior Vice Chair Estrellita Suansing.
Mr. Chair, ikaw pa rin. Magre-report lang ako.
Ikaw na.
Madam,
Yes,
Madam
yes,
Chair,
Comsec. Yes.
there are 4 additional members po. Is it possible?
Can we recognize
Please
them?
proceed.
Yes po. We have Vice Chair Angelina Tan, Vice Chair Arnie Puentebella, and Representatives Rico Heron and Onyx Crisodo po. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Comsec. Thank you, Mr. Chair. My dear colleagues, members of this committee, I would like to take this opportunity to present to you the committee report of House Resolution number 227 entitled Investigation in Aid of Legislation on the Implementation of Section 150-B of the National Internal Revenue Code of 1997 as amended by Republic Act number 10963, otherwise known as the Train Law or the Tax Reform for Acceleration and Inclusion Law. At this point, I'd like to give you a backgrounder of this bill. The excise tax on sugar sweetened beverages, we have 6 pesos per liter of volume capacity for sweetened beverages using purely caloric sweeteners and purely non-caloric sweeteners, or a mix of caloric and non-caloric sweeteners, provided that this tax rate shall not apply to sweetened beverages using high fructose corn syrup. Provided further that sweetened beverages using purely coconut sap sugar and purely steviol glycosides shall be exempt from this tax. And number 2, a tax of 12 pesos per liter of volume capacity shall be imposed and collected on sweetened beverages using purely high fructose corn syrup or in combination with any caloric or non-caloric sweetener. Yes. We conducted 3 hearings for this resolution that I filed, which were scheduled last June 28, November 16, and December 16 of 2020. And we also conducted an ocular inspection last February 18, 2020, before the lockdown at the Food and Drug Administration Office. So, slide 1, please. And this committee report on House Resolution number 227, as flashed in the PowerPoint, summarizes the findings of the Committee on Ways and Means from its investigation in aid of legislation. So this morning, we will present to you our findings. The first finding is that there is a shortfall in the collection of BIR and BOC in total. The target that we were expecting was 52.03 billion from BIR, and from C it's 2.45 billion. But the actual collection in 2018 was only for BIR 39.77, and the BOC surpassed their target, which is 2.82. So in total, there is a shortfall of 12.26 billion pesos, which is equivalent to 37% of the total target. The findings, number 2 findings is medyo nagtuturoan kasi dito ang BIR and FDA. BIR was saying sinusunod lang nila yung clearance from FDA to exempt large companies, no, of sugar sweetened beverages, and FDA naman was saying na wala naman silang karapatan magbigay ng clearance. So nagtuturoan sila. And the number 2 findings is the limitation to verification of costs of shortfall. Verifying the shift, however, could not be certain due to lapses in tax and product administration, including number one, delayed issuance of the regulation on beverage product registration by BIR. There was a 6 months delay in the regulation on product registration by BIR. Number two is weaknesses in the record keeping and verification imports of HFCS. Ang may record dito is the Sugar Regulatory Authority and BOC. So hindi magtugma yung record nila ng importation of HFCS and also with the sugar. So what we did here is we asked BOC and SRA na mag-usap sila kung ano yung reason kung bakit hindi magtugma yung records nila for importation. And there is in adequacy in product testing and post-marketing surveillance of FDA. We found out during our ocular inspection na yung machines ng FDA na ginagamit is 2007 pa. And then 2 peraso lang. And according to FDA, kulang sila sa tao for the post-marketing surveillance. And there is a limited capacity in the mandate of the FDA to approve or reject product registration and application. So FDA is requesting Congress to help them para ma-expand yung kanilang approval authority. Second slide, please. The next findings is the failure to directly earmark revenues as mandated by the law. In our understanding, there should be a portion in the revenue that will go to the farmers, sugar farmers that were affected by the imposition of the excise tax. Excise taxes are by nature and definition punitive. However, because the excise tax on sweetened beverages only aims to discourage consumption of sweetened beverages and not to harm the domestic sugar industry, the law mandates the government to mitigate the impact of the tax on the industry by allocating revenues from the tax to fund programs under the Sugarcane Industry Development Act in order to support the sugar farmers. The Department of Budget and Management cited low absorptive capacity of the SRA as one decisive factor for not earmarking more funds under the SIDA. So what we did here is we encourage SRA to increase their absorptive capacity kasi ito yung reason kung bakit hindi sila nabibigyan, hindi sila nabibiyayaan ng revenue from the excise tax on sugar sweetened beverages. Next slide, please. And here are our recommendations. If you were able to read the committee report, sobrang haba, no? So what we did here is we just summarized for presentation purposes. So our recommendation here is on the areas for improvement. Number one, the agency audits of the implementation of the SB excise tax. Kailangan talaga para ma-monitor because sayang yung effort ng Congress on this. Malaki ang expectations natin on revenue collection. So we need to monitor the implementation of this excise tax. Validation of BIR, beverage product registration and exemption. So nakausap naman din natin ang BIR and they promised that they will be very careful now. Hindi lang dahil ang mga companies are requesting for exemption, dapat they have to coordinate with FDA, no? Whether talagang wala, ano ba ang sugar na ginagamit? Is it pure sugar na 6 pesos ang excise tax, or high fructose corn syrup? Segue lang, hindi naman nagpalit ang lasa ng mga soft drinks, no? So sinasabi ng beverage companies na nag-reformulate daw sila. That's why hindi na sila gumagamit ng HFCS, kundi pure sugar na. But according to BIR, when they conducted an ocular inspection in one of the beverage companies, nakita nila na meron pang ginagamit na HFCS. So siguro ang nangyari dito is nag-import ahead of time ang mga beverage companies just to have a buffer, no, na gagamitin nila dun sa imposition ng excise tax. Improve creation of a database of accurate import statistics of HFCS. So si SRA is using import permits para i-record yung importation ng HFCS, while BOC is using the actual importation, no? So in the hearing in the Committee on Ways and Means, it was mentioned by Congressman Suansing, baka ang reason for BOC to have a higher record compared to SRA, baka daw yung smuggled sugar ay na-record ng BOC. So dapat meron talagang coordination in the records of SRA and the BOC on the importation of sugar and HFCS. Improvement of FDA product testing and implement FDA post-marketing surveillance. This is very important. Kasi nakita natin ang FDA, ang product registration is online, no? Hindi talaga natitest ang item itself para malaman kung ano ang sugar content. Amendment of the FDA mandate to include the evaluation of products. Ito is we have to come up with with amendments in the FDA law to expand, no, the authority of FDA, including the evaluation of products. Next is improvements in the absorptive capacity of the SRA to deliver programs to develop the sugar industry in order for the sugar farmers to be funded by the revenue from the excise tax. Dapat itaas talaga ng SRA ang absorptive capacity nila. Submission by concerned agencies, FDA, SRA, DOF, and BOC of periodic status reports to the Committee on Ways and Means for proper monitoring of deliverables. And last slide, please. This is immediate results. Early efforts by the FDA to respond to the committee recommendations during our ocular inspection with FDA. Nakita talaga namin yung malaking problema. And according to they have already prepared help evaluate the product. Ang tawag nila dito is performance liquid chromatography, or HPLC equipment, to increase its capability to verify manufacturers' claims on sweetener content of products subject to the sugar beverage excise tax. So we would like to thank FDA for acting in response to the request of the Committee on Ways and Means to procure additional machines, no, para hindi na natin problemahin yung kakulangan, no, sa pag-meet ng target. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to give back the chairmanship to you. We're ready for the approval of the committee report.
As Senior Vice Chair, maybe you can just continue.
Okay. So may I seek a motion for the approval of the committee report, not unless any member will ask questions. Meron bang gustong magtanong na members on the committee report? Any resource persons who wants to ask questions on the committee report? If none, can I solicit a motion? Sister Mickey? Ayan si Coco. Coco.
Move for the approval, Ma'am SVC Suansing.
Second.
Thank you, Congressman Coco Nograles, and seconded by Sister Mickey Biolago. Then the motion is approved. Thank you very much, Kong Coco and Sister Mickey. Kung wala na, Kong Coco, may I solicit for a... Pwede na ba, Ena? Your favorite motion, Kong Coco?
Are we adjourning or suspending?
Adjourning, I think.
Move to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Ena. Any before we adjourn, anything else?
There is a technical working group po on the tax stamps tomorrow at 9 a.m. under the tutelage of Chair Coco Nograles.
Yes, we will be there tomorrow to support Chairman Coco Nograles.
Thank you, ma'am.
Chairman Joey, we will now adjourn the meeting. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Comsec, all members present to be co-author of all the House bill approved. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Congrats, Ate Ging.
Thank you, Sister Mickey. See you tomorrow.
Okay.
See you tomorrow, Chair Coco.
Ma'am Mickey,